After hours training, Sina, Sina, reported quarterly reports. Sina had a very good report in our view. This is the after hours movement in Sina. It was down on the day. It peaked out right up here at around 79.60 or so. And they beat the earnings. And the quarterly report that we're going to go over is they beat on the both bottom and top line number. Okay, it's an ADR. It's a Chinese internet stock, is what it is for innocent people watching it. For the MMTs, Baidu, Soho is in the same sector as Sina. So we're going to look at how to trade Sina. They beat by 10 cents. What I mean about the revs is that basically from prior reports, they came in line with their other upside guidance expectations. So they're in line. The trick to trading this is that the Q4 revs are above consensus. For an intraday trade, we can see today's trading here on 11/12 that the actual low in after hours is a gap up. But we know that over here in the regular market session that this was $75 and a couple of pennies during the trading session. We can see where that volume came in here in the after hours. And once again, we're going to be looking at what the support levels will be in the morning. I repeat, in the morning. Another thing that we're going to be taking a look at is the monthly expiration of the $75 calls and how we would trade that. 1,000 contracts were traded. 510 was a close, 579 was a high. The range of the call was 2.69. It's in the money call. It's in the money call. And the lesson to be learned about the option pit, last print was 3.59. So if we continue in the equity itself to gap up in the morning, as we're going to, and let's say that Sina here comes down and hits the support level of around, so we're 78 and a quarter, 78, that's the gap up. That's the actual volume current and after hours, total day, including after hours. Is that if we could get our entries at around $76.50, I mean, that will happen in a millisecond. They drop it down there. That means that this call that expires on Friday would go down to 260 by 220, and we would be looking at 50 contracts. Why? Because when this stock gaps, it's not going to gap down because of any bad news. However, I can explain it thoroughly by letting you know that where I drew the trend line for in after hours is where it made the move. That's ultimately a quick drop down, and or if they gap it up, of course a call is going to gap up higher. But if we stay relatively flat into this price range of around 78 or 77.50, they like to steal premium from the public and market makers. They compete with each other on all of these option exchanges. So we're going to look at how do we steal it wholesale. That's what we do best. That's what we're going to do on this trade. So nonetheless, they came through with the earnings. Remember when Baidu, B-I-D-U, reported earnings, it sold off on the gap. This one, if it gaps up toward, let's say, $80 in the morning, $2 higher in the morning than pre-market, it will have the same effect. It will sell off. A lot of short sellers in the name that are going to buy to cover, which would make the prices go higher. So there's a $75 call on Sina, and that's the equity